will be now. I'll apologize in advance. My presentation, though well put together, will probably be the most visually aggressive presentation, I'll say. You'll understand what I mean in just a moment.
I did bring candy if anybody needs sugar on the table.
Yeah, please grab some sugar. Give me what energy you can for the last 30 minutes. I'll do my best to make it entertaining. Like I said, it's visually aggressive. That's not going to change. The only thing that may change, and I'll apologize in advance if anyone's prone to motion sickness, I had to move the little boat at times because the information was getting blocked. And so it might, if I move fast, the boat will move. You might get a little motion sick. I apologize for that. But other than that, let's talk about vibe coding. I'm going to vibe code like I'm Michael McDonald before this is all over with. My name, we'll do overview first. This is what we're doing today. First, I'll talk about myself, which I started doing just a moment ago. We're going to talk about what vibe coding is, kind of the timeline of this. It's really taken off with this specific term recently, though it's been around for a little while. We're going to talk about how people perceive it, and then what the reality of it is. We'll look at some of the results, talk about the current state of the art, and do some live vibing should time allow. So, now me. My name is Tyrel Denison. I was a software engineer for 10 years, primarily wrangling Python, but did some Ruby before that, PHP, which I like to pretend is way back in my past. Then I became an engineering leader, helped build a software consultancy here in Northwest Arkansas called Lofty, spent some time in one of the big three for a little while, with JB Hunt, and then jumped back into small business work, startup work, as a co-founder of a company called Akra. Akra, we're an AI enablement firm. We help people, data, and businesses get ready for the incoming AI wave, sticking with the theme, and help you realize the value of what's coming. You can see my socials there. I'm on X at Tyrel Denison. I'm on Instagram at Tears for Fears. That's where I share a lot of my AI opinions. You can follow me there. And then on LinkedIn as well at Tyrel Denison. So, what is vibe coding? Here's a word wall. I'll zoom in. Can you read it? Or should I zoom? Okay. So this is the tweet that kicked all the vibe coding talk off. It's from Andrej Karpathy. This guy's no slouch. He worked for OpenAI. He's a data scientist, PhD. And he wrote this about a kind of coding called vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes, embrace exponentials, forget that the code even exists. As you keep reading, he talks about using a tool called Super Whisper, which is a tool to speak to LLMs, and he was using Composer to do that coding. But you can see here, he's just accepting all. He asks it for dumb things like describe the padding on the sidebar by half, or decrease, the padding on the sidebar by half. He's not worried about fixing bugs. In fact, he'll throw everything away if it doesn't work and start over and just vibe with it. And this tweet blew up the internet, and then a subsequent Y Combinator podcast came out where they discussed the concept of vibe coding, and all of our lives have subsequently never been the same since then. So we've got vibe coding as defined by Wikipedia to the right, which is a lot more concise. It's an approach to producing software depending on artificial intelligence, where a person describes a problem in a few sentences as a prompt to a large LLM that is tuned for coding. The LLM generates software based on the description, shifting the programmer's role from manually coding to guiding, testing, and refining the AI-generated source code. So that's super condensed what vibe coding is. You can see here that first tweet came out in February of this year. But we'll see in the timeline that the tools around this were available long before then. So how did we get here? We talked about Copilot coming out in 2021 for preview. That was kind of the first attempt at this. A company called Replit came out with their first tool, Ghostwriter, the next year, and then Copilot went general, not admission, what is that? Yes, general audience, thank you. Then next, Cursor launched in 2023. Versal, for those of you that are JavaScript nerds, came out with VO. Shortly after that, Versal is known for basically Lambda functions, like Amazon Lambda function as a service platform, but they decided to come out with their own coding tool, which they released with VO. Next year, Cursor released their agent mode. Windsurf came out, which has now been acquired by OpenAI. Replit released their agent mode. A company called Lovable, which is also one of the kind of the big players now, came out last year. And then Devin, which if you don't know, Devin got really hot for about 3 months and then fell apart, and no one talks about Devin anymore. But 2025 became the year of vibe coding. We had Copilot release its agent mode. The vibe coding tweet that I had on the screen happened. Replit's Agent V2 came out, which is the current state of the art, and we'll look at that here in a minute for what I call editor's second agentic coding. Then we had a tweet by Peter Levels about a flight sim game, and he released his game. We'll talk about that here in a minute as well. Note the $57,000 MMR, that's monthly reoccurring revenue that he's made on that. Claude Code came out, Operator. Versal launched their own LLM now. That was just last month, and I'm pretty sure since I've been up here, something else significant has happened in the AI coding world. It's just happening that fast. It's unreal, the pace, but it's very exciting. So as someone who wasn't a JavaScript developer, when JavaScript was just changing all of the time, I was a Python guy. I liked the kind of consistency of knowing libraries will be here a while, frameworks aren't that changing, not like those crazy JavaScript developers who have a new framework all the time. Now I work in AI, and it's even faster than JavaScript was changing, so it's a lot of fun. So now let's talk about what the promise of vibe coding was. It's more approachable. It's a great way to create software without having to learn a ton. The door for entry is way lower. It doesn't require deep training, and it allows you to go from idea to product in no time. And note that I specify revenue next to product. And again, part of this conversation will be kind of what is a product, and that definition changes based on who you are, really. But you see here, Amjad Masad, who is the CEO of Replit, said vibe coding is already here. 75% of Replit customers never write a single line of code. So you could ask, so what are they building with Replit? Again, that's a good question, but his customers are paying for Replit regardless of what they're shipping. They're building things in Replit and building it 75%, not touching the code. So going into the reality of it, honestly, AI agents are amazing, but they act like junior developers. And I love junior developers. I was a junior developer for a long time. I know junior developers now. They're awesome. They build great stuff, but they also make really dumb mistakes. They overestimate their ability. They bring in new technology that's not really helpful and then realize, oh, wait, I didn't need that thing anyways. I had that experience recently vibe coding when my agent tried to bring Tailwind into an app and couldn't figure out how to configure it. So I said, why don't you just do this in vanilla CSS, buddy? And he said, that's a good idea. And all of a sudden, the app fired right up. So there's a high potential for tech debt using this methodology. Because if you don't know what you're building and you're not looking at the code, you're just trusting the agent to build, that's a risk that you're taking. And that's something that a lot of people are honestly comfortable with. We'll talk about that in a second as well. It doesn't account for architecture well. That's changing. Google, again, tried to remind everybody that they know what they're doing last week with I/O. And a part of what they released is, oh goodness, I don't even remember the product's name. But with their tools, they have a way to launch infrastructure right into Google Cloud with the stuff you have vibe coded. And so I know that Replit now has a way through Expo to get your vibe coded app right into the App Store with iOS and Android. So the infrastructure piece is coming. People want to be able to build software and get it in the hands of customers and clients very quickly. And as a result, the technology is evolving toward that. All the while, those of us who are traditional developers are panicking because we know what's behind the curtain. We know the code that's back there. We have fought bugs that we could not understand at all for weeks at a time. And we know that that kind of stuff happens in these contexts. You keep people from learning in some ways. So why learn the complicated thing that's within the library if you can just use the library instead? Well, we take that to a new level with agentic coding and vibe coding, because you don't have to learn how to write a method that an agent writes for you. You just tell it what you need it to do. This is what it should return, and it'll return it for you. That lowers barrier of entry, but it lowers our general understanding as well. For those that aren't curious, there is a way to take vibe coding and educate yourself with it. It's a great way to learn a lot of things very quickly, but you have to have the drive to do that. Those who want to learn can learn a lot through these tools. Those who do not want to learn can ship a lot of shaky code with these tools. And both of those are honestly okay if you know what you're doing. So there's a term, I didn't realize that Peter Thiel put his book out this year, From Zero to One. But in startups, the concept of 0 to 1 is I go from no product to the first iteration of that product. And the goal is to do that as quickly as possible, to go to market, to get your idea out, start making revenue, because capitalism. So this kind of tool allows people to go from 0 to 1 extremely quickly. But once you've shipped, that's where it gets a lot harder. Maintaining it has a lot of challenges. And honestly, because so much of this has gone out so quickly this year, we don't even know what some of those challenges are. But again, if you're willing to take on that as a risk, that's perfectly acceptable for you. I liken this analogy now of where we're stepping into with vibe coding as ushering in the era of DIY plumbing for software. Those of us who like to tinker have inevitably had something break in their house, well, except for, when we're doing our home automation with Home Assistant. Home Assistant's great, by the way. Love it. And you go, man, how much does a plumber cost? Gosh, that's expensive. I'm going to watch a YouTube video instead. And you watch a YouTube video, and you feel confident, and you go buy a wrench for $20 instead of spending $150 on a plumber, and you go and you fix it, and you're happy, and you've fixed the plumbing in your home, you've saved some cost, and you move on. And then something bigger breaks, and you go, I fixed that with a wrench last time, let's see what fixing this will be like this time. You watch that YouTube video and go, ooh, I'm not built for that. I don't have that kind of time or energy. I'm going to hire a plumber. And so in many ways, vibe coding is ushering in that era of software development. Many people will be able to fix their own plumbing in their house very quickly, very affordably. Let's face it, guys. I love software engineers. We're awesome. We're also pretty expensive for the most part. And we talked about how Google's OnePlus, no, I believe that's the name of it, something to that effect, +1, one of the two. The service with VO3 and all of the coding tools that they just came out with, $250 a month right now. $150 for the first 3 months. I'm not affiliated with Google yet. But $150 a month to do the things you can do with that is way cheaper than hiring a video editor, hiring a designer, all kinds of things. And so the economics of software development is changing, and this is going to sound bombastic, but it's true, kind of forever with the way that this stuff is going. And it's exciting, and it can be scary, and it can be both, because we can have two thoughts and two emotions in our hands at the same time. And so we have to learn, as people in the industry, how to live within that and recognize its strengths and weaknesses. I think this summary down here is really good, though a bit online for my taste, and I live on the internet, so for me saying it's a bit online, it's pretty online. But you can see here, it says AI will replace NPC knowledge work and expand schizo knowledge work. And what that basically means, for those who aren't as terminally online as some of us, NPC stands for non-player character. It's a video game avatar that does not a lot and just kind of exists. And so AI will absolutely get rid of a lot of knowledge work that doesn't require a lot of knowledge. And we call it knowledge work because it's not physical labor, but it's not a whole lot of knowledge in it, and that can be done very easily by AI. But the kind of stuff that this individual calls schizo work, and that's referencing schizophrenic, meaning more sporadic, more multilinear, nonlinear kind of knowledge work, that still requires human capacity. It still requires a human planning and interacting and reasoning and problem solving. And those kinds of knowledge work things are still going to be super important for us. So let's look at some of the results. We've got 2 game attempts here on our screen. We'll talk about the one on the left first. This is the flight simulator game that Peter Levels came out with. Peter Levels is a solopreneur. He's notorious for spinning up very small software solutions, and he has a big network because of his social media presence, and so he's able to monetize it very quickly when he comes out with a new thing. He did that with a flight sim game he created in 3 hours, and then he started selling ad space on these blimps because capitalism. A flight simulator game he vibe coded in 3 hours is generating $60,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. Not just one-time revenue, reoccurring revenue. 3 hours of work. Now, granted, that's because of his network and the people who are interested in what Peter Levels has going on, who follow him and observe him. Another very popular person in the space, the Primogen, the prettiest mustache in software development. I say that as a mustachioed man. Game recognizes game, y'all. That's a stash. The Primogen is a software engineer formerly from Netflix, famously. He decided to try and vibe code a game over the course of a week. He's a content creator now. He's still a great developer, but he's in the content game. He said, we're going to rent a tower, because it's a tower defense game that he created. They rented a tower in California. Some of the other content creator software engineers that he collaborates with all took over this space and spent 7 days live streaming 24/7, building this application, presumably just vibe coding. Those of us who are engineers know we want to get our hands into the engine, so there was all kinds of tinkering that took place. For them, they even brought in an artist to do the work. This was not AI-generated artwork. This was done by a professional pixel artist because they loved the craft of the game. They spent 7 days trying to vibe code this, got really far, didn't get where they wanted to, and not only has the game not released, they haven't even released the last day of video content because it just never got where they wanted it to, because they're passionate about the game, they're passionate about the craft. And so both of these people used vibe coding to create space and art for different reasons. Levels made way more money in a month than I'll ever make, and the Primogen and his team never even shipped it. If it comes out, it'll eventually be open source, I'm pretty sure, and I hope that it makes it into Steam eventually. But you can see the 2 different paradigms. You've got your craftsman, your artisan who want to build something for the art of it, for the love of it, and then you have people who just are doing business. And again, we can have both of those things. We have both of those things now. The creation of a piano didn't crush the harpsichord, and writing music on a computer doesn't negate the need for a piano. And so being able to exist in both of these worlds is the future that we're moving into very rapidly. And it's exciting. And it can be scary for us as developers because all of a sudden, the business folks that we've kept at bay and not communicated well with or interfaced well with, they can come into our world pretty quickly. And it can feel threatening because I don't need a developer anymore. I can vibe code this. And they kind of can, and that's getting easier to do all of the time. But the exciting thing is it means that we can also lean into their world some. We can take our own ideas and take them to market much faster. If we don't let ourselves, we can still get bogged down in the details and the love of the game like the Primogen did, and that's fine, but we can also move to get our ideas out the door quickly and not have to involve the same large-scale teams that we once did or the designers that we once did. Not that we want to exclude designers, but we can design enough to go from 0 to 1. The 0 to 1 is really being disrupted right now, and it's beautiful and it's equalizing in a lot of ways, but we have to recognize it as such and embrace it instead of pushing it out all the time. So with that, we've got about 10 minutes. Oh, I forgot this slide was here. We'll have about 6 minutes in a moment. This is the current state of the art. Again, it's changing all of the time. It'll probably change again. But I've divided it into basically 2 areas. There's in-editor agents like Copilot. Windsurf is one. It was just acquired by OpenAI. And then Cursor is kind of the default. It's a nice, good spot where we as developers get to look into what appears to be VS Code. It is a VS Code. It's just a fork of VS Code that made them a lot of money. And we can operate within the tool sets that we know and enjoy and do coding in there. And then there's editor second agent coding tools like Replit, like VO, like Lovable. All of those, you've really got to go looking for that terminal, or excuse me, for that editor to get to the code. And we'll see that in just a second, because now with our 6 minutes, let's vibe. So, is anybody, before I go into my idea, because I had to come up with an idea in case nobody else had one, I was just going to make us a tool to scan Twitter to see tweets about Michael McDonald, because why not? But let's see, does anybody else have a better idea? Because that's a pretty lame one, but it's better than a not idea.
I have an idea.
Let's do it.
All right. I would like a piece of software that can analyze an image and grab a color from that image and match it to a library of existing colors.
So take an image, analyze the image, then match the color, the color of a specific thing. Do we need to call out the thing? Like, if there's an image, so would we want to say,
Put that blue out of Let's Vibe, for example.
okay, so we want to know the color of the blue that's in Let's Vibe.
Yeah.
What do we want that color returned as? Like the hex color?
The hex would be a good start.
Okay, let's try for that. So we're going to do it in both tools. I've got my Replit and I've got my Cursor, so we can see how both of them interact with us. Because sometimes you just got to let the AI cook, and while one's cooking, we'll talk to the other one, and we'll have a nice kind of back and forth dialogue with our tools. So let's start with Replit. This will be fun. So why do you want to do it in a browser? I downloaded the app, and now you're like, oh, well, we got to do it in a browser. Okay, so that, and correct me if I'm typing any of this wrong. Ooh. Spelling is hard these days. Spell check has ruined us all. I think I nailed that one. I don't see any red squiggles.
You put Dan rather than that.
Oh, yep.
Plus my eyes bad.
Any, what we call it, item, I specify. I'll copy that just in case it goes well. We'll put it into Cursor and see what it does. Thinking, we'll let it think. Oh, I understand you want to create an application that can analyze images and extract hex color values from specific items you point to or select. Would that be fair? Awesome. This is a great computer vision project that combines image processing with color palette. Because what is working with an LLM if you don't get a little sycophantic praise? A little ego boost for everybody. Great idea, buddy. Color detector. The naming, we can change that. But it'll work for now. So the initial version is an image color analysis web application, extracts hex color codes from user-selected areas. And it's off to the races once I approve. So this is nice about Replit, is it gives you the plan of execution. And actually, that's something that we as developers, this is a leg up that we have that was kind of mentioned in the last talk, is that like we know, we've been like whipped into submission to write your features, write your stories, have your planning, what's your roadmap. Well, the good news is that if you feed that into an LLM, it makes the software iterable. You can track it. All of a sudden, you're releasing your code in commits. So we can tell it like, hey, do this first. It does that. Good. I'm going to commit that. Now, people will say that's not vibe coding. And honestly, they'd be right a little bit. And that's why I do that in Cursor, where I don't feel as much like I'm a vibe coder. But you can see how it goes through this process. It's going to look at approval, visual preview. We're going to have an interactive prototype. Then later we can add some additional features. Do we want to add some of these? Color palette extraction from the entire image. We like that. I see a head nod. Okay. Implement area selection for average color calculation. Yeah, seems to matter. Add a color name suggestion. We got a yes, we're doing it. All right. And then we're going to export color data in multiple formats. Yes. Everybody wants all the formats. All right. Get to work, Replit. Now let's see what Cursor wants to do.
I should have asked before you hit send, did you do the pro plan?
We'll find out. I've got plans for these, thankfully. And you can see they operate very differently. This isn't doing anything. Well, so this will create a file. It's thinking a lot. This is within Cursor. So this is me using Cursor. It won't commit anything until I accept it all. But it shows you, again, so this is showing me what it's doing. All of a sudden, I've got pip install showing up. That makes me feel really good as a Python developer. Pip, let's go. That's a warm blanket. All right, we've got, I swear it knows I'm a Python developer, even though I didn't tell it I was. I guarantee you Replit's over there in JavaScript land, just like putting it all in not JavaScript. Yes, Sean.
So do you have rules that you've got set up on the backside?
I do at times. Right now, we're just, just vibing. It's just Jesus take the wheel kind of coding right now. So let's read where we got to over here in Cursor. So I'll help you create an app that can analyze images and extract hex colors from specific areas. We'll use Python. Hell yeah, brother. With libraries like OpenCV for image processing, and a library I don't know for the GUI. Oh, guys, I apologize in advance. If this is a Python-generated GUI, it is not going to be awesome. First, we create a requirements.txt file. Yep. Then we create the main application file. Yep. Then here's a README. This all seems like great Python work to me. I'm creating a complete application that allows you to analyze images, pick colors. We have to install pip install requirements.txt. This was the hardest part for me, trusting an AI to run things in my terminal. I don't even use a GUI for my Git stuff. I've made enough peace to go like, yes, you can run that in my terminal. Just don't tell anybody. I'll let you do it. It's 3 o'clock. If anyone has to jet, I totally understand. We're just vibing. So if you got to go, you thought you were staying till 3, you don't have time to vibe past 3, no worries. But I'll be quick. We'll see what the first run does.
Okay, I gotta leave, but just one last time.
Ethics. Everything's open source, we're good. But see, here we go, already, our first pip install failure here. Oh, well, that's because it doesn't know that I'm running. It needs to run Python, pip3, and zcell doesn't know what the pip command is, cannot have that installed. These are things that without rules, like we talked about, it's not going to know inherently. So you already see a place where somebody who doesn't inherently know software engineering is going to hit that error, and you know what they're going to do?
Command L, and then
Copy and paste.
Yes, that's exactly right. They will copy and paste. I'm not going to let it install that. I don't like that. But we're going to see what it tells me. Even though I know it'll tell me, we're gonna act like we don't know. So, but it's telling us to run these, and we would run them, and we'd go from there. I got this error. I am a toddler. Okay, so it's telling me we need to run, it might be smart enough to know we need to run pip3. Let me see. Okay, it identified the OS version. We need to make sure that, all right. Great, you have Python 3. Python 3 install. We're running it. It's doing it. Let's go. I'll never get my environment back to where I had it before again. So this is the sacrifice I give to you all. All right. Specific versions isn't available. So this is where, again, having your environment dialed in, you're in the code on this side, you know what your environment is like, you set the rules, it works really well. Meanwhile, let's jump back over to JavaScript land. I mean, it's done. I was trying to pip install stuff over there in Cursor because I'm a software dev. Meanwhile, in the cloud, it's just created it for me. Let's get an image up there to see how this goes.
That's brave.
Thanks.
Image, no image file provided. It's thinking. Let me see what it's. See what it's doing here. We're gonna feed it its own error again here in a second, because that's how you vibe. I assume we'll get the same one, or nothing.
You only had the code to do it once.
Maybe it just didn't like that one.
It didn't. We'll try a different image.
I
Okay.
got the error message back. That's progress.
My favorite. Hopefully we get there, guys, because this is my favorite thing ever. Replit will do this. They'll all do this. One moment. I'm trying to talk quickly before that toast goes away, but it looks like it's sticking around.
That'll be a new skill, like click on the toast fast enough.
Yep. My favorite is, hopefully we'll get it there. It's going to start telling me like, could you do me a favor and open your developer console and tell me what JavaScript error is going on? And then this was when I just wanted to hug the computer and said like, okay, I put console logs in the code. Can you see what it's logging for me? And I was like, what Stack Overflow post taught you that? All right, I see the issue with the file upload functionality. Server is receiving a post request but not detecting the image file. Let me check. See, we're in TypeScript, as I said, JavaScript. JavaScript everywhere, which I've actually gotten really comfortable with. And that's saying a lot. For those who've known me for any length of time, I love making fun of JavaScript. It's a pastime, it's a problem. But you can do a lot of amazing things in JavaScript. This is one of them.
So
It says it's
took
fixed.
a screenshot of your screen and then put it in?
Mm-hmm. It creates a preview image in case I don't have these running next to one another. Because on the mobile phone, by the way, there's a mobile app for this too. On the mobile phone, you can swipe back and forth between the live preview of your app and the chat conversation you're having, and then even over to the code itself. I vibe coded myself a podcast summary app in the airport last week. I went to the LangChain conference. Oh, there we are. I went to the LangChain conference in San Francisco 2 weeks ago. It's all dedicated to AI agent creation. Great conference. And I got bored in the airport, got tired of a really long podcast I was listening to, and then went into entrepreneur mode and said, I wish I had an app that summarized podcasts for me so that I could look at the bullet points of what topics were hit, and then tap it and jump to that specific timestamp in the podcast. And I wrote that sitting in a chair in the airport. And then I found out that some podcasts give you that naturally in Apple Music, so I felt a little dumb, but not all podcasts give you that, and so it's nice to have anyway. Okay, we've got our image.
So then you can click on the image?
That's what I've been led to believe. Let's see.
It didn't ask for instructions.
It didn't.
Hey, let's click on
Try
the
uploading an
arrow.
image. The upload should work now. Should be able to click, extract a color.
Get that pink arrow that's right next to the bubble.
This guy here? All right. Pink arrow. Let's see here. Click anywhere on the image. I've done that. Extract the color. We're close, y'all. That's close. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm now taking sponsorships for my color recognition. I'll gladly put your company logo right here for $1,000 a month. I'll be sure to have this shipped before the day is over. But so looking at this example, when I went full vibes, I don't know what code is back here. There's a TypeScript file in there somewhere because I saw a .ts, but I haven't looked at any JavaScript. Meanwhile, when I went to where my heart and soul belongs in an editor with some Python, I can't even get the dependencies installed yet. Let's see. We'll try another. Let's see if we can get this going real quick. It's 6 after. I'm super conscious of people's time because that's my problem, not yours. Connect. Let's get going again here. All right. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it's asking me to do things that I'm not comfortable letting it do. And that's okay, because I can do both. And why would I continue doing this when I can ship this and make money right now. It's just vibes. And so, again, we went from 0 to 1 in about 10 minutes. And you know, honestly, with the appropriate rule set to my local environment. This built in the cloud, it's no problem. It can mess up its own JavaScript environment. I'm not going to sit here and let the AI just run a bunch of terminal commands on my computer and just bork my local machine for the next 6 months. But if I had the right rule set in place and informed it about the environment restrictions it had in place, it would be able to do something pretty quickly as well. So we can see the value of this new style of coding, because it is coding. Like you'll notice that I didn't use the terms low code or no code, because this is code. Here, let's take a look at the JavaScript. Let's find the code back here. There's a console. There's a preview, a database.
I think there's like a $20 a month plan.
Yeah, it's not super expensive. Here's the code. Here we go. So we've got our client piece, our index.html. Very clean. The cleanest of code. Uncle Bob approves. Here's our TypeScript. Looks like TypeScript to me, but I'm a Python developer, so don't trust me. It's a Vite server, which isn't surprising. Again, it'll go with what's, it's best to go with what is most popular right now, honestly, because that's where it's got the most information to gain from, so it can move those quickly there. You also get like the general knowledge problems that exist within the ecosystem when you do that too. So some people have tried doing vibe coding in Rust, and it's just like, you don't get a whole lot from that, but you don't get a lot of really easy mistakes with it either, because there's not a lot of people pushing code with really easy mistakes in Rust, because there's just not a lot of people pushing code with Rust. So pick the tool chain that works for you. I could tell it to write it in different styles here. I can also specify what language I want in here. I've had Cursor specifically ask me what stack I prefer, and I can inform it what stack I want it to build it in, or I can do that at the beginning here in my initial prompting. And notice we fed it a sentence. The more information you give these in the initial prompting, the more successful you'll be. Being lazy in your communication, going all the way back to our talk from the morning, if you're lazy in your communication, you're going to get a bad product. If you're thorough in your communication, the AIs appreciate it just as much as the humans do. Having thorough requirements and expectations, explaining what you want as far as testing or deployability or framework will go a long way in having something sustainable. So all of the things that we as developers have been tooled with over the years when we've just wanted to code actually make us perfect for stepping into this new era of software development and doing amazing things, because we already think that way. Our business stakeholders have great ideas, but a lot of times they haven't been honestly beat to death with Agile manifestos and Jira tickets and things of that nature in a way that we kind of think about by default and work really well with this tooling. So now that we've vibed it up, I'll just end with saying this is absolutely where the industry is going, because again, capitalism, this is where the money comes the fastest. But we can participate in that and inform that and enjoy that and learn how to use those tools and equip others to use those tools. Become a YouTube plumber, if you will, and create content that enables people who have a passion for something that isn't software to build it in software and bring more equity across the software world. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.